Okay. Um, so as I mentioned, this is our guide to pair programming. So we're going to start this new program with Code the Dream, where everyone is going to be pair programming together, and we'll get into what that means in the next slide. But it's really exciting. We'll go into why we're doing it, what it is, etc., in this presentation, and then how we suggest to do it. But it's part of agile methodology. And the basic idea is that it's two people who are working together on to solve the same problem. So you're both working on the same ticket, some coding issue, and you're just working as a pair. And in general, you have within this pair, you have a driver who is the person that's writing the code. And then you have the observer, who's the person that is reviewing the code. So as they watch the driver type, they are saying, both of you are discussing at the same time how you think you should solve this. And then, but the observer is saying, oh, hey, I think this was spelled wrong, or maybe it's better to do this thing, as you both are watching the same code. And then you can switch those roles as frequently as you'd like, where one person's writing the code, one person's reviewing, and they swap.
Cool. Yeah. So I think we have a few different goals with why we want to do this. I think one, we think it's going to make better code, and I think that's been proven by a lot of different people who've done pair programming. There's fewer bugs and mistakes, but also I think we want to always be building more collaboration and community and ways that apprentices interact with each other. And I think that this is a real good opportunity for to level up coding by working with other people and seeing how people solve problems, and also just spend more time with your teammates. One thing that was really interesting, that was someone that we had interviewed a long time ago for our senior job, worked at a company that all they did was pair programming. They called it extreme programming. And they said after they had switched to that, because I know like the first thing everyone thinks is, oh, this is going to like really slow me down or like slow us down working on projects, was that they actually gained speed in the long term by switching to only doing pair programming, because there was so many fewer mistakes and things were just done better the first time. So there was less refactoring, less bugs, etc. So those are kind of our goals, all of those things. Yeah, Rich will tell you about some tools.
So some tools that you could use if you want while you are pair programming is, the first thing that is just the simplest and might just be what most people do, is Zoom and Slack video calls. Probably Zoom would be a little better if you can, but just regular screen sharing. So the person that's the driver shares their screen, and then the other person can see what code it is that they're doing. Tom and I are going to give a little demo where we're just regular screen sharing. You can do, but then there are these other tools, and the rest of these, Visual Studio, CodePen, Sublime, Code Sandbox. Those are all things where you can code, you have access to each other's screens. So it's kind of like Google Docs. For Visual Studio, it's easiest if you both have Visual Studio, but I believe that one person you can use Visual Studio in the browser. CodePen is all in the browser. It's not going to be in your full IDE that you can that's accessing your local code, but it's a lot more like Google Docs for coding. Sublime Remote, it has access to your actual IDE if you both have Sublime. In Code Sandbox, you can import a GitHub URL and it gives you access to those files. If you don't have a membership, so the free version only allows you to do public GitHub repos. So if you're looking at this and you go for that one, that's great, but you'll only, if you don't pay for membership, you'll only be able to use it in a public repo. Yeah, you can play around and see which one of these makes the most sense. And also we'll share out this presentation later, and any of these links or any of these words here that are underlined are actually links. So you'll be able to just click it and go directly to that, to CodePen, to Visual Studio Live Share, to see what we're talking about.
Cool. Yeah. So how we're going to do this in actual on projects. Second, let Aster in. Yeah. So within your group, pairs are going to be selected basically every sprint at the beginning of sprints using a random kind of random round robin generator that Rachel found. And basically it will just, you put in everyone on your team and then it'll spit out who your pair is. And I think it actually will, didn't that actually spit out for the next X amount of weeks, right? Until everyone's been paired up with everyone.
Yeah, it's a full, like, goes through every person.
So it'll end up, depending on how long your team is, it'll build it out for the next, 4, 6, 8 weeks or something. And then you're going to meet twice with your person during the week for actual pair programming sessions, which we want to be at least 3 hours long, but you can break them up however you want. So if you want to, have a lunch break in the middle or whatever. And you'll choose to either work on one of your tickets for both sessions or split up tickets per different sessions. And then additionally, at the end of the week, we want you to start doing any PR reviews that have been assigned to one of you. We want to start doing those reviews as a pair also. So that's kind of just on top of the pair programming. So don't worry too much about that. And then how an actual pair programming session will look. It's really broken into like two things. One is you want to plan and prepare, which means in advance know what tickets you want to work on, and then writing out kind of what your plan of attack is for that ticket, and then discussing what that plan is before you actually start coding. And then you're going to jump in there, and like what Rachel kind of went over earlier, was the driver's going to code and talk through what's being coded while they're doing it, and the observer is going to be looking out for mistakes, asking questions, and then stopping the group if there's further conversation or thought that's needed. And I think obviously the driver can also stop and ask questions of the observer also. I think it's really like, we want it to be as collaborative as possible.
And throughout all of this, it's really important to have a learning mindset. So as you're going through this pair programming session, if you are the more experienced one, definitely encourage your partner to ask questions and come up with more solutions. And if you feel like you're the less experienced one, or regardless of how much experience you have, just ask a lot of questions. That's 100% the way that we learn. And it'll inform you a lot more in terms of helping you to solve this code anyway. Be patient and don't be discouraging or derisive to your partner. And you can feel free to switch up this driver observer dynamic roles as much as you want for whatever works for both of you.
All right, should we pair program something?
Yes, let's do it. So we're gonna pair program. Let's say our ticket is to make a button in React.
Am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah. Okay. So to make a button that is a click counter. So every time it starts at 0, and every time you click it, that number increments. Now, it's not just Tom and me pair programming in this example. We'd love for you guys to also get practice, or you all to get practice in being the observer as well. So everybody please, Tom's going to be the driver here, and then we're all observers. So unmute yourself and say, hey, this could be different this way, or we should do things this way, etc.
Oh, okay. So did we already talk about what we're building here?
Yeah. A button increments this number as you press it. It's a counter for the number of times it was clicked.
A button that increments each time it is pressed. Well, we want a button that increments each time. Okay. So first we're going to need to create a button. Oh, that's not right. So I think one thing that I don't know if we said explicitly, maybe Rachel said it, I might have missed it, is that when you are going to jump in, if you're the observer, you should probably like find the appropriate place to jump in. Like you don't always want to, like the second you see a mistake, jump on them and like, stop, there's a quotation mark off, like let them finish their thought and then say, hey, you missed it. But in this situation, just whenever I'm done typing and you see something wrong, jump in and guide me. So right now we know we're going to create a button component. And let's see, that's our first step. And then we're going to need to create a counter. And then what do we do? 3 render counter. .js. Okay, does that look good? Everyone, Rachel, does that look good?
Yeah, I think that looks good. Good idea to create a button component so we can reuse it in other spots.
All right, so then I'm gonna create a button component.
Maybe we should have a components folder inside of source.
Oh yeah, great idea.
Thank you. So everyone feel free to unmute yourselves and also join in on this.
Are we gonna keep the state in up.js or the counter is gonna?
That's a great question. I think, what do you think? Sanam, what do you think's best?
Actually, it depends. Like we are planning to use that counter components in different places actually. And yeah, it can be, I think, better to keep in up.js, I think.
Okay, yeah,
And pass that state to the counter wherever we want to use actually.
Yeah, having the state will help us to update the numbers and counter rendering.
okay. I'm 100% with you. I love it. Okay. So it looks like I'm having a problem here. Anyone want to jump in and help me?
Import React.
You need a return statement.
Yes, thank you. Go.
Yeah, put inside your return, please.
Awesome. Okay, so now you guys mentioned that an app, we wanted to keep our state in React. Well, okay, so then let's import state from React. Oh, it doesn't like that.
Can you defactor it? Defactoring? Okay, the word.
Oh, destructure. Okay.
Destructuring, yes.
What you mean, like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And React, we need to import React from React.
Wonderful.
You could do import React and then the curly braces.
Yeah.
Yeah, put a comma. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So now let's set our state up. Let's see. What do we want? Counter and set counter.
Inside the array, please.
Brackets, square brackets.
State is a hook.
Good
Okay.
catch.
We can define if we will have the starting point like 0.
Oh, right. You think it's an initial value in here.
Yeah.
Okay. We also need to, let's go ahead and import our button real quick, if that's cool.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, it's cool. What do we want to do next?
All right.
I think we should use our button.
Let's use our button. All right, we got a button. Where's my clicker?
You need to configure the set counter.
Excuse me, say that again.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we need to configure the set counter function.
Mhm.
Okay, so we need to configure the set counter function. Tell me more.
Yeah, just below the where we put the counter and the set counter, we need the set counter function and do like counter +1.
So we're gonna want that to happen when you click on a button. When you click on the button, right now we don't have an on click on the button. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and add an on click to the button and go ahead and do a handle button click. How about that? And then handle button click is not defined. All right, so what do you think?
Is it
Yeah,
a prop?
we need to define it.
All right, and where do we want to define it?
We can pass it as a prop.
Okay, love it. All right, so we're gonna pass it as a prop.
Yeah.
That, I'm assuming then you want to, do we want to define it here?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, and then you said you wanted to pass it as a prop.
Yeah.
All right, cool, I passed it.
No, you didn't finish.
Is it
Oh, thank you, okay. Okay, I passed it. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Okay, so now what do we want to happen when the button gets clicked?
Now we need to define the state plus the each time we click the button should increase the number.
Okay, right. So that means we're gonna want to call set
Set
counter
counter.
somewhere, right?
Yeah.
yes?
All right, so we're gonna call set counter here.
Okay. We start with the previous state.
Previous, state.
Counter
Oh,
plus one.
so we can just do this.
Yes.
All right, but now, okay, so where is it?
No, it's missing something there.
We don't
And
display
we,
a counter.
Say that again?
we
don't
have to pass
display-
the counter.
Oh, we're not displaying the
We need
counter.
display.
Yeah, we don't see it.
Let's put a, okay, so how am I gonna display the counter?
Like the curly
Curly
braces.
braces.
Curly braces.
Oh, let's put this on, let's go, put this in. Two. All right. Let's refresh and make sure that this starts at 0. We created a button component, we created a counter, and we rendered the counter on app.js. I think we're good.
Wow, that was a good pair programming session.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. No, that was great. I think that was perfect. So let's go back to our presentation if I can find it.
That was a really great like discussion in the beginning. Thanks, Anand, for kicking that off. Discussion in the beginning, and then working together to, Tom was writing the code, but everybody here was talking that through and adding stuff in. So that's the idea of how these things are going to go. And you can see that you can avoid a lot of mistakes that way, whether it's, how something is spelled or just working through these ideas of being like, oh, it's missing this thing, etc. So yeah, does anybody have any questions about how we're going to be doing pair programming in Code the Dream or about pair programming in general?
Yeah, I think the one other thing to add before we get into that, we're going to start in April. So whenever your first sprint happens after April starts, that's when your team will begin implementing pair programming. So it might not happen on April 1st or 2nd, but it'll happen at the next planning session. Brian Espinoza, are you raising your hand?
I
Yeah.
am. I think D had his hand raised before me though, but I'll ask my question anyway. My question was as far as GitHub. Should we be making commits when we switch like drivers and observers, or how are those commits going to be tracked? Or is it? Yeah.
I think we should probably just whoever's ticket it is should do the commits most likely, unless I think I think you can use best judgment on that. I think that's probably best generally speaking, but if it turns out that like it basically gets flipped over and it's like becomes your ticket or something like that, then it's fine if you make commits on another ticket.
You
Then
also
all-
pulling down the same branch, or you can be pulling down the same branch and maybe make a new one off of that, even if you wanted to make it a little bit more clear.
I think along those lines also that this pair programming, the way we've implemented it now, and this is very much, we're like testing this, and I think our our processes will certainly change. We're going to have everyone fill out feedback forms for the first month, like every week or maybe every 2 weeks. I can't remember,
Every
but every week. Yeah. Because we really want to, change this and make sure it works for everyone. But for starting, because this is going to be mandatory for all apprentices to do for now. But if you're staff, generally already pair programming, I think. So this is not going to be something that's going to necessarily be mandatory because we expect that you're already doing it. Although, like, I think in some cases, if you're on a team of 1 and 2, it'll be like more of a slightly more formal than it was in those circumstances. Dee, did you have a question? And then Mariana, I see you have a question also.
Yeah, I've been programming with some senior developers in the past and even right now. And I've noticed how they start pair programming with the problem, like you're saying, what they're going to do. But they also add a step of testing before they even start on the actual.
So writing like test driven. Yeah, I think that's maybe something we'll get into long term. I think right now we're not, especially on the front end, we're not doing much testing at all. And so that would be like introducing 2 giant things at one time. I think that's not something we're going to do right out of the gate, but I think it's definitely possible that we could add that in at some point.
And feel
Great.
free to add that in yourself
Yeah.
as well. That's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Definitely anyone that has a lot of experience with pair programming already, I think, please give us extra feedback.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you.
Mariana, you had a question?
Yes. First, in general, I think it's a very good idea of pair programming. But my question is, so does the pairs gonna be declared in the sprint before assigning a tickets or after? Why I'm asking, because let's say if we are doing it after assigning a tickets, let's pretend I took 3 tickets and another person who will be randomly selected for the sprint for pair programming with me also would have 3 tickets. And it's just going to be, I don't know, let's say 6 tickets for 2 people, maybe a lot for pair programming. So my question will be, are they going to be tickets assigned individually or as a pair?
No, tickets will still be signed normally as an individual. And then whoever you're paired with you'll just work on whatever tickets you want. So say you have 1 3-hour session planned on Tuesday, you can just choose, hey, I'm the driver, I want to work on this ticket, or you guys can discuss as a pair, like, I think it makes most sense to work on this ticket for the next 3 hours because I know I'm going to pick things that you think maybe are going to be challenging or you're going to struggle with. Or if you're working with someone more junior than you, maybe you pick one that you think is more aimed at their level so that they'll learn more. And then you'll just work for that ticket through those tickets during that time, and still, like, on the rest of your time, work on your other tickets. Hoping this doesn't, I'm sure in the beginning, this will slow down velocity some. Hopefully over time, it may either increase velocity or get back to close to normal, but we understand that you can only finish the tickets you finish in a sprint. So don't feel added pressure to get things.
Okay. Thank you.
And we also,
oh,
sorry.
no, please.
No, I was just going to say that we have you're going to do 2 sessions a week. So you can switch between, like, one partner is doing their ticket on Monday, the other partner is doing their ticket on Thursday, or whatever days you choose to have this work. But that way, hopefully you'll both feel like you got to your tickets. And you also don't have, you just need to choose a ticket to work on. You can continue to work on the same ticket throughout both, but if the worry is kind of getting your tickets done as well, you definitely switching is a great option.
Thank you.
Who's got a hand up? Alton, I saw you had a question. Oh yeah, Alton, still got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. As a back-end guy, I was watching you guys do your pair programming, and I was pretty lost. Are we going to be doing like back-end and front-end people?
Yeah.
With the pair programs? Okay.
Yeah, we did it in React, but it should be very similar in Rails.
Yeah, I just don't want to be dead weight to anybody's also.
You're far from dead weight.
All right, cool.
Ning?
Yeah, so my question is, the example you and Rachel showed is two of you are working on one same ticket, but most likely me and my teammates, maybe we have different tickets. So that means two people, so there were always one person that was spending extra time on other people's tickets to do the pair programming, because they have to spend some time to understand what the tickets will do.
Yeah, so that's similar to what we were mentioning about how yes, maybe in the beginning this is going to feel like there's a little bit less velocity because you are focusing. Let's say that button was Tom's ticket, so I wasn't even supposed to be working on a button, but together we then are, oh sorry, my computer just switched to daytime and I thought it was dying. You basically, I would be working on this ticket, and then the idea is that hopefully that will go faster, solving this button. And then the next session, we'll work on one of my tickets. So you're doing this twice a week, 3 hours each in each session, and you just switch off, one time it will be my ticket, one time it will be Tom's. But during that session when we're doing Tom's, I'm learning and we're collaborating, but I'm not getting through one of my tickets. It's true. But hopefully this will it will give all of those benefits that we mentioned before. Did that answer the question?
Yeah. And also maybe, so during like our sprint planning, should we set like a 1 or 2 points just for pair programming? This will be good.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure we know how that's going to affect our velocity yet. I think maybe for now, I think that's reasonable. I think we hope that eventually, like, the person that you're working with, like as a team, you'll have less blockers on tickets. So you'll actually get that time back and hopefully even gain time because you'll spend a lot less time stuck. You will spend a little more time planning and talking through concepts, but hopefully less time with reviews and less time with blockers. So, but I think that that's fair for now, is like to plan in that it's probably going to take a couple extra points on a ticket or on a complicated ticket. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Maybe just take some time to get used to this. All right, thank you.
Javier?
Yeah. So just to confirm, every week, one person will have one ticket each. And if you have like 2 other ones, those you do on your own, or you have to all do them together. Like,
so you'll select to get, like, let's say I have 3 tickets I'm working on, Tom has 3 tickets he's working on. Then we would just decide, oh, hey, I have this ticket that looks really interesting. Maybe let's work on this one in this session. And then you're doing this, and then next session we'll be like, okay, well, we did one of yours, and we'll, like, I have this interesting ticket, let's do that. You can kind of figure this out. The idea is to pair program together. You both can choose what you want to work on, and whose ticket it is, etc. But yeah, in general, you're picking one ticket that someone has that looks interesting.
so then the other 2 tickets I do on my own and turn them in.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you can fit all of your tickets into one pair programming session, which would be very impressive.
Is that all the questions?
Now, Evgen is asking if it's going to be project specific, which is my understanding, right?
Yeah, project specific. So right now, though, occasionally when you have an odd number of React or Rails developers on a team, there might be a week that you actually have a buy. So there could be weeks where you just don't have a pair. But then
Yeah, a bye means you weren't paired. That's on the round robin thing. It means
sorry, we're using a
didn't get a
basketball
partner.
tournament, maker. So,
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize there's a basketball term.
well, it's just like, the tournament, sports terminology. I think that's why it was, yeah.
Football, yeah.
Yeah, which I did not understand, but okay.
It's perfect that
That's
we're
good to know.
starting this with during the NCAA tournament since we're using a tournament generator.
Yes, I did not get sports references in general. I thought it was cute that they were like, bye. You don't get anyone this week.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's where it came from. Who knows?
Yeah, bye.
You get a bye.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So in terms of you mentioned running a random generator to decide who's going to be paired with who runs that random generators? Project
It'll be
manager?
the team. One of the team leads will be we'll send out the links to them, and they basically will just put all the team members. So they'll put all the React developers in it, run it, put all the Rails developers in it, run it. Yeah, we're just using, like, for now, we found a free tool online that seems like it will do a good job.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, Dee, do you have a question?
Yeah, I may have missed it, but is this going to be mandatory for those specific projects?
It'll be, mandatory for apprentices on projects. If you're working on a project by yourself or just with a senior, then I expected that it would just pretty much be as normal, except you guys might have more formal pair programming sessions.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have another question. I'm just kind of curious. It was really interesting for me to watch the group programming session that you guys did. That was awesome. I'm just wondering, is it ever useful to have group sessions like that versus just pair sessions?
Yeah. I think that happens a lot here. I mean, at least on my projects, I think, every project I've ever been involved in at Code the Dream, I think there's been a lot of stand-ups that turn into, I am blocked. Can we walk through this as a group? And we just, we fix it on the spot, or we just work through the problems. So I think it's, I think that, and I'm curious about other groups. I haven't been in a Vamos is another world, because it's 12. I think it's, having 12 people all work on a problem is a giant waste of everyone's time, probably. But I'm sure that happens in smaller groups still. But yeah, I think it's immensely helpful. I think that's kind of what the mentor sessions turn into a lot in our classes also.
There's a couple of questions that have come in the chat. I want to check.
How long is it permanent? It is a trial period that I think we hope becomes permanent.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to have these feedback forms every week. Please, please, please fill them out. And because we're going to be looking at all of that and making decisions based on that. If everyone is like, this is the worst consistently, then maybe that would be the end, but hopefully this will actually be a pretty good experience. But we definitely are going to be doing it for a few weeks at least, to just kind of let people get used to it, work out kinks, and then hopefully it'll be everyone's new favorite part.
Yeah, I'm sure that this creates some anxiety for everyone having to do this, but I think it's going to be really fun and super awesome. I was nervous and I just had to code a button. You saw how bad it was?
That actually leads to another question. I'm just sort of curious for everybody how it's feeling for folks. Do people feel anxious about it or excited, or does it feel really different from the way you normally work, or does it feel like, oh, we sort of do that anyway? Like Narayan said, oh, we just did that on a Vamos session. So yeah, I'm just curious what people are thinking.
For me on ACT, there's 3 of us. So every week somebody's gonna get a bye week, or
yeah.
Okay. And if the random generator chooses the same 2 people for consecutive weeks?
So Rachel spent countless hours, I'm sure, finding a random generator that actually creates a round robin. So it takes that into account. And so it builds it out far enough so that everyone gets paired with everyone, or everyone has a bye week. And then you would just restart it at that point. So it'll make sure you don't get it twice in a row.
Rachel, bye week means they don't have it.
We're all learning here. Any
I've always had a great experience pair programming, especially with people who have maybe the same knowledge or a little more, and they're able to help each other out and then go over the code that we did, and then, oh, like, we missed this, and then we have to add something else. And that's the way it kind of speeds it up, because you're getting like constant feedback. So I think it's always great to have that. I think it's a must. So
absolutely.
I'm glad that you're implementing this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm new here and I have a little bit of pair programming experience, and it was obvious it was only positive and good experience. Like, I learned a lot, and it's a good way to know your partner a little bit better, because you can talk not only about coding, but you can talk about other stuff. So we all remote, so it's a good way to build this relationship and share knowledge. So I'm excited that you started it like when we came.
Definitely. Thank you both so much for sharing. Yeah, one of the like make it or break it computer science class I took was you got a new product each week and you had to do it with, it was 100% pair programming. And it was the same thing, like you never knew who you were getting. And it makes you, I think it really made me a better programmer, just having to discuss all of this stuff. And it helped me a lot with interviews as well, just getting into that pattern of talking through what I am coding. Yes, it's not just about coding the best thing. There's a lot of skills, absolutely, Dee. Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? Applause? Just kidding.
I think y'all should let some non-programmers sit in on some of the sessions sometimes. We can just be in awe watching the developers go.
That's more pressure, Lauren.
Just don't tap the glass. Scares him.
Well, remember, the non-programmers, we don't know what you're doing, so it all looks like magic.
Okay, we have a thank you. Oh no, wait, we have the feedback form slide, so I guess we should.
Oh, am I not sharing now?
No, but it's been great. We can see everyone's faces.
I already had the thank you slide in. I was so proud of when I put those two up, the perfect time.
No.
So yeah, we'll send this form out every week, I'm sure, but we'll also have it linked here, which is just the feedback form that you'll fill out every week. And did we miss anything else? Oh, there was a question slide. You guys missed out on that. Sorry.
I think they saw that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you slide. So yes.
Yeah, so feel free to reach out to us or to your team leads with any questions. But then also let us know how stuff is going with the feedback form. And we'll send out this presentation. And remember, anything underlined you can click on. So all of those will be links to explain more.
Also, I know that we are trying to work to continue to build out an internal kind of repository for Code the Dream resources and materials. And it's not always used, but we do have one, codethedream.org/internal, and we can drop this in there too.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you all so much. If there are any other questions, we can definitely answer them, but you can also always continue to ask questions.
Rachel, yeah, it is password protected. I was actually trying to get in there yesterday and couldn't remember the password. Lori, I'm sure can share it.
Code the dream.
Already shared. There you go. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing weekend.
Great work. Great work.